Oh boy, I just realized that this whole thing says season 3. Well, we got a smooth intro today, though. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and get into some Adobe Premiere, change that around. Welcome back to Coffee Grind Live, episode 2. Welcome. We are back at it again. Figured that we would go ahead and follow back up on the burnout conversation we had in the last solo episode of Coffee Grind, episode 0, the one that started season 4 off. So let's go ahead and I don't know why that music was playing. All right, there we go. So let's go ahead and let's chat, ladies and gentlemen. I know this is not a normal time, but I figured, hey, um, as to the topic of the conversation we're going to be talking about, setting up routines after burnout or life stumble, should I say. Let's go ahead and let's have a conversation about that. So let me go ahead and look in here and see. Okay, we got some people in here. Amanda, what's going on? We got some folks on the IG. Thank y'all for joining. I cannot see comments on IG on StreamYard. They haven't got that set up yet, so I'm gonna have to look over here. But if you are on the YouTube, you can definitely put comments in there and post them on the screen. So the quick one. Didn't have a whole ton to chat about this time, but I wanted to kind of, like I said, just follow up on the conversation that we were having about um, burnout. And one of the things that kind of I started thinking about, and one of the things of challenge that I went through is, when you're recovering from burnout or you're recovering from any stumble or setback, I think, when you're trying to, turn things around, flip things, and get back into kind of the groove that you had before, I guess you could say, right? I think one of the things that you do is you kind of try to go back to exactly what you did before, and that might not work because the routines and the momentum that we had before, life might be totally different, and momentum changes versus what circumstances and situations you're in, right? So I think that that's one of the things I just wanted to kind of address, because you might, you have folks that go, through burnout, might have been depressed. Now, when I'm talking about depressed, I'm talking about um, being depressed. I'm not talking about, clinical depression. I'm not a doctor, not a psychologist, just a guy that researches stuff and quote unquote life coach, but content creator. And so, that's one of the things that, if you're going through, clinical depression, definitely talk to a doctor about that. But what we are talking about, I just realized I'm using the wrong camera, but that's all right. We're going to keep pushing. But what we are going to talk about is the recovery period, and we're going to talk about because one of my things is momentum. We're going to talk about how to rebuild momentum after you've gone through like a stumble. You've gone through something that has kind of taken you out of momentum, and how to get back to that. Because one of the things that I realized quickly is that trying to go back to what you had before, right? Trying to just go and all right, these are the routines I had before. Let's go back and just do those again. That doesn't work. So a lot of times, because you're in a different state of mind, you're in a different circumstance, you're in a whole different, possibly environment as well. So that doesn't work. This coffee grind is called brought to you by Keurig, by the way. So, um, so you got to, we've got to go ahead and understand that that the routines that we are going to go into are going to be different than what we had before, and not try to force those routines back in, should I say. So one of the things I want to talk about this time, let me go to my notes. So as you go through and try to build and build up those routines, and get your momentum back to what you had before, you know, it may be that everything might switch on you. And I'll use a prime example is, um, some of the one of the routines that had to switch on me before was, I used to like going to the gym. Well, I wouldn't say like, but I used to go to the gym early in the morning, and it was good because it kind of got my blood flowing, got me going, ready to go, and then boom, I would go to the gym, get a meditation in, feel like I'm ready for the day, feel like I was more awake. When I started, one of the gigs I started, and I was on call kind of at night, that really made the waking up early in the morning because I would be, helping markets out. That was on the West Coast. That was specific time. That was Eastern time. That was Central time, Mountain time, all different time frames. So that means you got to be up till, sometimes up till 1 or 2 o'clock talking to these folks, getting them going. So that meant that the early morning routine wasn't viable. So I say that to say a lot of times you have to take into effect and take into account the environment you're in, the circumstance you're in, and kind of think about, okay, these are the routines I had before. Use it maybe as a baseline. What can I do to kind of that works similar to those routines, that work similar to that momentum, to give me that momentum, should I say? Because ultimately, when you think about it, what we're trying to do is regain momentum. We're trying to get back to you're trying to get to a certain place, right? And or get back to a certain place. And really, let me rephrase. Let me go step back. So a lot of times we think that we need to get back to a certain place that we were at before. And we could use that. I think it's important, and it's nice to use that as kind of a baseline of, okay, yeah, this is where I was at before, but not to use it as, okay, I got to get back to this area, or got to get back to this, certain spot that I was at before, because ultimately, you're a new creature, you're a new person every day that you wake up. So, it might what you're looking for might look different than it was before, if that makes sense. You might be looking for something, but it might be completely different than what it was before, and therefore, you gotta approach things differently. And one thing that I've learned, especially with my weight loss journey, is not to look back and be like, oh man, if I could only get back to there, or if only no, it's like this is where we're at now. This is, the spot that we're looking for is a certain, we know what it looks like when we get there, right? So that's what we're going to be looking for. But, let's go ahead and uh, push towards that, but not look in the rearview mirror and try to say, okay, I want to get back to that. That might not be, a good look for you. So that's first thing. Second thing, like I said, is set up the routines. One thing I learned is be flexible with the routines. So it's like, okay, may not be what it looked like before, but also it may, I might not be at where I was at before. And you have to step where you're at, begin where you're at, and move it from there. So it may be that it is something small that you took from what you had before, move with that, and then adjust, and then you can propel from there. But momentum, whenever you're regaining momentum for something that you did before, know that you may be, it may feel like you're starting from scratch. You're not. You are starting from experience, so you do have the experience of you know working towards what you've done before. But however, you're not starting from scratch. All right, we got a comment on here on the IG. We got this pulled up. Good thing I did. This is between periods. So frustrating. Yes, don't want to go back, but it feels like no, I feel like such a loser now. I get that part. Been there, done that. I understand it. But yeah, the in between period is frustrating. It is something that kind of sucks because you've kind of seen where you were at before, know how you had the momentum before, right, and know how things were before, and now they're different, completely different, right? But it's something that in my opinion, it's something that you got to give yourself grace for. Number one, it's something that you have to just know that you will get to a different place in life. You'll get to a place that that you're looking for with continued effort, and with putting those routines in place. The one thing I will say though is that you've got to know that, hey, you might not be you just you got to know where you're at and just start with small steps and let those steps just kind of push along the way and not necessarily um try to go big. Sometimes I think that's one of the things, especially let's say you're recovering from burnout, because burnout can happen a lot of times from us trying to do everything in the world on top of everything else that we're trying to do. So obviously if you're in burnout, a lot of times you're a go-getter, you're motivated, and you are somebody that is used to pushing through things. Well, that might not be able to do that anymore because you've worn yourself down and you've got nothing left in your cup to give to yourself or to other folks. So it might be that it's just one small thing. One of the things that I started doing was um I would look at kind of and take note of, okay, this is where I was at this is where I was at kind of during the burnout period, for example, like working out. Okay, cool. I was working out sometimes 2 times a week, 3 times a week, or what have you. Okay. So when for me normally it's 5 times a week. That's where I was at when I'm in a kind of that nice little groove. So okay, two or 3 times a week, okay, fine. Then my goal is to make sure that I'm staying consistent with at least 3 times a week, and then we can add a fourth day to it. And then once we're saying consistent with that, then we can add a fifth day to it, and then we'll be back at where we're at before. But now one thing about it is it's no longer the early morning workouts. That sometimes it's later in the evening. So it's being able to adjust, being able um to switch it up, and know that sometimes you got to do something different and you've got to approach things different. So, but yeah, I understand. And aging is also an exciting factor. Aging is fun. Aging is one of those things that we don't think about. Well, I mean, I'll speak for myself. It's one of those things that you don't think about. Even 6 months or a year can make a difference. And when you try to go back to something after a year or 6 months, your body could be completely different. You can have different things going on. So yeah, so it can absolutely become a factor on top of it. That's why it's in my opinion, going into it a little more, with ease, going into it a little bit slower and not trying to attack it like we did prior to whatever the life setback might be. I'm using burnout as an example. It could be, like I said, it could be depression, it could be loss of a job, it could be a number of different things that you're regaining your focus, regaining your footing, and you're trying to work back towards something that you had before, or trying to reinvent yourself as well. Um, but yeah, aging definitely does make it does absolutely make a difference. So but yeah, like I said, I guess some key takeaways is taking things slow. Know that you're not the same person that you was before, so therefore you'll have to go ahead and adjust and do things. And a lot of times, one other thing I want to say is sometimes it might be that the routines that you had before you've got to completely obliterate and start start over again, because it might not you might not be able to do or set up the routines that you had before. So sometimes you just got to really just kind of start completely from scratch. Again, you are starting from experience because you've been there, done that before, but it might be starting from scratch to start a routine to go ahead and get yourself to that place that you're looking for, or get back onto your purpose, or what have you. So that's just one of those things that with a couple of the things, yes, I'm like, you know what, let me just start this from scratch. Let me try to figure out, okay, I know what it looked like before, but let's figure this out now. And again, I'm going back to workout because it's one of my things is I was like, hey, you know what, early morning workouts might not be the thing. Let's just see, where can I put those 2 or 3 workouts in per week, and where can I put that fourth workout in per week, and then going to have to adjust. And then once different circumstances change, got to adjust again. So maybe you might have to you're constantly in adjustment. But however, I think if you take those first steps, you take small, I wouldn't say smaller steps, but you take, calculated steps that just kind of, I guess you could say smaller, that kind of start you out. Then it helps you to be able to build, and then you can build, and then you can build a little bit more on those steps, and kind of, you build that momentum up, and then next thing you know, you're in a new state where, yeah, it might not be what it was before, but it'll be something, that is helping you push you towards your purpose, and might be something that is um very much similar to what you had before, something that might be even better than what you had before. So I guess key takeaways here. Know that you're not starting from scratch. You might have to start. You might be starting from scratch, but you're not starting completely from scratch. You're starting with experience that you had before. Know not to, not to compare your journey to the journey that you had before, because might be it's a new situation, new circumstance, so completely different scenarios that you might be in. So you've got to give yourself that grace. That's the other thing. Give yourself grace, and just know that you're or you know that it's going to take time to kind of build back up, I guess you could say, to kind of the momentum that you had before, or build momentum. Let's not even talk about what we had before, but let's say build momentum for this new version of yourself that is becoming and shining through, this new era of life that you're moving into, because we can never go back. We're always moving forward, and we've got new circumstances that we are um pushed into, and every day is a new day. Every day, every week is something new, but it's we always got something new that we're working towards. And so just know that you know it will take time to build momentum for this new thing. It's not going to be like it was before, and that's okay. And to give yourself grace for that time, because to Amanda's point, when you're working with time, which we all are, um, your age is going to probably different than what you had before. So it's going to take some time to go ahead and get used to that, and push through that. But yeah, that's basically. Let me look at my notes, see if I covered everything in my notes. um, yeah, just reestablishing your routines, reestablishing, um, and just know also, whatever life setback might be. Like I said, I'm talking about burnout here because it's something that is front and center for me. But whatever that life setback might be, just know that you still you're probably in the middle of recovery while you're setting up these routines at the same time. So you got to give yourself grace with that too, and give yourself time to know that, hey, that you are working towards that, and give yourself time to work towards that while working on the recovery, and giving yourself self-care at the same time. So it's a balance in that. And it also helps to help, your tribe around, people around too. Um, but yeah, just I would suggest taking one step at a time, and one small step, and see what you can do to build upon that, and keep pushing it and keep going. Um, yeah, I think that's is there anything else in my notes here? That's it. That's like I said, it's gonna be a quick one, but this is kind of part of my, gaining back to momentum. Is, hey, I said that, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and get these episodes out, even if it's just a solo episode. We don't have anybody on here as a guest. I am still gonna be doing these podcasts slash YouTube show, whatever you want to call it, and get those out on a regular basis. Even if it's only a couple times a month, but we're working to get back to to weekly, like I've envisioned in my head. So, but that's all I got for you today, Amanda. Thank you for being here and jumping in and with your comments. Thank everybody that's out here listening, and being here for this episode. We got one more comment. Sometimes for some people it's a package deal: burnout, depression, anxiety. Yes. Well, yeah, I mean, and they all work together too sometimes, because once yeah, to your point, once your nervous system gets discombobulated, then yeah, one thing can lead to another, which can lead to another, which can lead to another. And you just got to give yourself time to recover from that. Seek the help that you might need to help recover with that, be it that it's a therapist, doctor, or what have you. And then just you got to give yourself time to work through it. So yeah, to your point, that is a very good point. Sometimes it can be a package deal: burnout, depression, anxiety, all things that that dysregulate your nervous system, discombobulates it, because the nervous system runs everything, and it's going to hold everything. And any a lot of times, let's just be real, when you're you're working with burnout or depression, then you are working with things that can cause trauma, and that any trauma gets stored in your nervous system. And you know that's some things that yeah, it's going to take some time to work through. But it is one of those things. It's like, yeah, to your point, it is one of those things, and it just takes time. And it's one of those things that it just takes time to work through it, and to push through it. So, but yeah, I appreciate your comments though, and that is, you're absolutely spot on with that. And I you're 100%. And again, but to that point, there's tons of resources on, YouTube, Google, of course. But if it's something that you can't, help with through yourself, make sure, circumstances that you get help, be it a coach, mentor, be it that it's a therapist, be it that it is a doctor, what have you. Make sure you get some help that can, somebody that can walk you through and help you through any circumstance or situations you might come up with, that we all can use that tribe, like I said before. But that's all I wanted to chat on today. A real quick one, a little later than we wanted to have this started, but I wanted to make sure we get out here and get to talking about the steps to recover your momentum after burnout or a setback, and how that can be done. Because I'm running into that, I'm like, man, this is not like it was before. And it's like, yeah, Chauncey, it's not going to be like it was before, because this is different. And I figured I'd come out here and talk to y'all about that. And we get into some of the ways that you can kind of sidestep that and work within that to get your momentum back. But yeah, again, that's all I got for you today. I appreciate y'all being here. I appreciate everybody jumping on this impromptu stream. We'll hit it again next week. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but we're going to make it do what it do. Hey, as always, I love you. Namaste.